So Apple just dropped the M1 Studio on us. 10 cores with the M1 Max chip, 20 cores with the M1 Ultra chips. You can spec it out with up to 128 gigs of RAM, all starting at the price of $19.99. But if you're a musician, if you're a recording, mixing, or mastering engineer, do you need to upgrade your current system and spend that money on something that may or may not work? That's what we're going to talk about today. What's going on with you guys? You know who it is. It's your boy John Mike back again. And today I just want to give my thoughts on should you or should you not buy the new Mac Studio that Apple just dropped. So yesterday Apple dropped the Mac Studio on us during their Apple event, and it is crazy spec. I'm pretty sure you've read the spec sheet. Your mouth is watering of the possibility of thinking about all of this power contained in this single machine. They dropped a brand new chip on us, the M1 Ultra, which is basically two M1 Max chips stacked together to give you crazy bandwidth, crazy power, crazy speed. The thing is even faster than the current Intel or Xenon based Mac Pro that they have in their lineup that goes up to like a crazy $50,000 plus to buy it. So with all of this power and all of these specs all at your fingertips and ready to be like consumed at a starting price point of only $2,000, is it worth it for you to upgrade right now? And the answer I will give you is it depends. It depends on what you're actually planning to get this particular computer for. I've been very vocal across multiple videos on this channel over the last like year, almost year and a half, about Apple Silicon and its readiness for us as engineers, producers, people that work in the studio, and you use softwares like Pro Tools and Logic and Studio One and all of those things like that. I really want to talk to you guys and let you know, hey, it's not ready just yet, because if you're a producer, if you're an engineer, if you're a mastering or mixing engineer, your livelihood is dependent upon certain plugins working, certain softwares being able to function properly and at their optimal at their optimal use. And if it's not functioning optimally, then you're losing time, you're losing money, you're losing clients, all of the above. Check them all off. You're losing all of those things. So on top of all of the issues and things and problems, and you can see those in my videos that I've shared about the M1 and my experience, because I've been an M1 user, Mac user for the last year and a half. It's just not ready yet. We're still a good 2 years at minimum before everything is going to be optimized and ready for Apple Silicon. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're looking at the price point of these new Macs and you're looking at the power and the specs. It's very hard and very tempting to just jump out there and buy it. But I'm here to kind of warn you that you can do it, but you need to proceed with a certain level of caution, because these Macs are going to ship with Monterey on them. And the thing about Apple computers, whatever it ships on, whatever the ships on the chip, you cannot downgrade below that. So if it's on Monterey, you can't go back to Big Sur. I'm on Big Sur. I'm not planning on upgrading to Monterey anytime soon, at least probably for another year, because most things just got compatible for Big Sur. Most of my plugins just got compatible, and there's still a handful that aren't. So I lost some plugins in the transition to Apple Silicon. Now, as far as like figuring out what's compatible and what's working, I have a couple of resources for you that can help you. Let's jump in and let me show you. So this is the Pro Tools expert site. I kind of keep this on a bookmark to check back and forth, especially when, there's ever a major OS upgrade on Mac, so I can always keep up with what's compatible and when the plugins and softwares and stuff that I'm using are working. So you can actually come in, this list will, be sorted, kind of in a default way. I've sorted it to where it shows me all of the stuff that's not compatible just by clicking the supported one. So if you see the page, it's probably going to look a little bit different when you first jump on it. But here's where you can look at some of your softwares and see if they're available or working. And according to this website, Pro Tools is not officially supported with macOS Monterey. Now, the last date that it was mentioned was 5/12/21, but if we click and go to this page, the actual Pro Tools page, it was updated on February 16th of 2022, and as of February 16th, 2022, it is supported on Big Sur, but it's not yet supported on Monterey, Intel machine or a M1 machine. It's just not supported. So you can see all of the other from First, Pro Tools Ultimate, even HD, none of these are supported, and none of your, other things, Venue and all the other stuff that you use and depend on. So you have to keep this in mind that your softwares might not work because it's going to ship with Monterey on it. So here's some other things like Sonarworks is not compatible yet. And Auto-Tune, their stuff is not supported yet. So if you are dependent on, Auto-Tune and that you got that Auto-Tune Pro subscription that you pay for each month, it's not going to work. Or if you get the Mac Studio and it's on Monterey, you're not going to be able to use Auto-Tune. I mean, I know this is, what was this? This was back in October, but if we click here and take to this page, they still have not updated this page as of, they said the September the 30th. They're saying it's not working. Their plugins aren't working on Monterey. So you have to keep that in mind. And you can go through and look at all of these different ones, Instruments, look at all of these nodes. iLock, they haven't even made a statement as of October. They haven't even made a statement as to whether or not it's working. So a lot of these have not even, confirmed whether or not their stuff works on Monterey. You know what I mean? So it's good. Antelope Audio. I'm an Antelope Audio user. I use some of their interfaces. I got videos on them on the channel. You can check those out, but they're not compatible with Monterey yet. So we still have a long road ahead as it relates to getting everything compatible. A lot of these, I can hear you guys in the comments, a lot of these things are still working fine under Rosetta. I have yada, 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 and I use Logic and it's working fine under Rosetta and blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, Rosetta, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, Rosetta is not the optimal way to use your software. It's a translation layer that runs on top of your software, and you do not get optimal performance. I work in Pro Tools. I work in Studio One quite often. I do work in Logic. Logic works great on my M1 machine, but I've had some issues even with Logic that I won't go into in this video, but I've been vocal about my issues with Studio One. I have a whole video on it that you can check out on that. So it's issues with that that run under Rosetta versus native. And then even Pro Tools has a lot of like visual issues and a lot of CPU issues because it's running under Rosetta. So it's not running at its optimal. And as a producer, as an engineer, as a musician, as a creative, you want to make sure that your stuff is running at an optimal level. And even though you have super spec machines, if your software isn't optimized to take advantage of all of those specs, it's not gonna work. So that's been my experience. I have to run all of my softwares in Rosetta mode, which is going to go away. Rosetta is not a permanent solution. Rosetta is a band-aid that Apple has given us to try to give the developers time to update their software to work on M1 native. And a lot of softwares have done that, but a lot of the plugin companies still are not natively supported. So when you go to the optimized version of the Pro Tools or the native version of Studio One or even the native version of Logic on M1, the plugins that aren't optimized for M1, they just disappear. They just don't show up. You just got blank slots. If you had a session that you were already opening up from a previous mix or a previous production, you're just SOL and you got to go back under Rosetta and you got to deal with the issues that come along with using it with Rosetta. This is coming from a guy that's been using M1s for almost a year and a half now, and I can tell you it's just not ready for 100% prime time for us as creatives and musicians. musicians and producers. Hard pill to swallow, but I would not recommend you buying this unless you can verify. You can go in here and you can verify that all of your plugins are working natively. All of the things that you use, all the softwares that you use are just perfectly optimized and tuned for the M1 system. Unless you can verify that, I'm telling you, you're going to have issues. You're going to have problems. Everything else in the operating system is going to be like smacking, but you're not going to be able to do that. That's all I got. I know I beat a dead horse quite a bit in this video, but I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying and get the context of what I'm feeling and what I know. All right. So feel free to check. I got some links down in the bottom of the description of the video. And you guys can feel free to check those out. There's some, links to some resources, some free stuff that I offer. Check it out down in the description of the video. I'll talk to you guys on the next video. I'm out. Holla at your boy.